Venezuelan President Hugo Chávez ruled the country for 14 years. When he fought for power, he promised to lead the country to prosperity and socialism. However, he ultimately led it into total poverty. At any convenient opportunity, Chávez criticized capitalists and American politicians, even going so far as to call President George W. Bush the devil. Yet he didn't hesitate to sell oil to his ideological enemies for dollars, and gladly embraced the benefits of the capitalist world. Hugo Chávez was born on July 28, 1954, in the Venezuelan city of Sabaneta. His parents, both simple schoolteachers, lived near the city in a small rural hut made of large palm leaves on a bare earthen floor. The family, consisting of 7 children, with Hugo being the second eldest, was very poor. It is known that Hugo Chávez's mother dreamed of her son becoming a Catholic priest. She sent him to serve at the local church. For a year, Hugo cleaned statues of Jesus, but then got into a fight with a priest and was expelled from the church. Therefore, Chávez's relationship with religion didn't develop positively, although he enjoyed discussing religion. He once said, "The greatest socialist of our era was called Jesus Christ. Just think, Jesus was a capitalist. Who could come up with such a thing?" There is an opinion that Chávez intentionally distorted the facts of his early biography and that his family wasn't as poor as he claimed. It is known, for example, that Chávez's parents sent him and one of his brothers to their paternal grandmother, Rosa Inés Chávez, who lived in the city of Sabaneta. She lived in a middle-class house provided by the local government. Additionally, Hugo Chávez's father, despite receiving a tiny teacher's salary, managed to pay for Hugo's and all the other children's education at the private school Daniela Oliveri in Barinas. At the age of 17, Chávez entered a military academy in Caracas. During his studies, he became interested in baseball, drawing, and read quite a lot. He read in particular Che Guevara's diary and became interested in the ideas of Simon Bolivar. It's worth mentioning that figures like Bolivar had always been popular in Venezuela, even in 1975. Chávez graduated from the academy as one of the top students. In the following years, he pursued a military career. In the late 70s and early 80s, opposition started forming within military circles. A new secretive organization emerged, Comacante. This name was a Spanish abbreviation for the initial letters of junior officers' ranks. Its core consisted of Chávez's classmates from the military academy. The catalyst for forming this organization was the bicentennial anniversary of Venezuela's national hero, Simon Bolivar, which was supposed to be celebrated in 1983. Opposition members started closely studying his biography, ideology, and worldview. As a result, Bolivar became an idol of the opposition and a symbol of the new revolutionary movement. Later, the organization came to be known as the Bolivarian Revolutionary Movement 200. In 1988, Carlos Andrés Pérez assumed the presidency of Venezuela. He began implementing unpopular and non-liberal policies. He announced cuts in social spending and ordered the harsh suppression of mass protests in February. In 1992, members of the movement, Hugo Chávez and Raúl Aranas Cárdenas, organized an attempted coup. The conspirators believed they were saving Venezuela from politicians and demagogues who were leading the country into impoverishment. On February 3rd, army columns under Chávez's command took to the streets of the capital, Caracas. Some middle-ranking officers and soldiers supported the uprising. The conspiracy involved 133 officers and nearly 1,000 soldiers, not counting numerous civilians. However, it proved insufficient. The Supreme Command quickly declared support for the president and ordered the suppression of the rebellion. Clashes continued until noon on February 4th. According to official figures, 17 soldiers were killed, and over 50 military personnel and civilians were injured in the fighting. At noon on February 5th, Hugo Chávez surrendered to the authorities, urging his supporters to lay down their weapons and taking full responsibility for planning and organizing the operation. At the moment of his arrest, which was broadcast live, Lieutenant Colonel Chávez stated that he and his comrades were laying down their arms solely because they had failed to achieve their goal this time and to avoid further bloodshed. Nevertheless, their struggle would continue. Chávez was arrested and imprisoned in the San Carlos military prison. However, this event brought him immense popularity. Venezuelans, especially the impoverished, began to see Officer Chávez as a fighter against corruption and a national hero. In 1994, Rafael Caldera was elected as the head of the state. He released the participants of the coup, although they were prohibited from serving in the military. After his release from prison, Chávez set out on a 100-day campaign tour around the country to rebuild his image. He also sought international support for his ideas and visited Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, Colombia, and Cuba, where he befriended Fidel Castro. Upon returning to his homeland, he started criticizing Caldera and his economic policies. Chávez's populist statements found fertile ground. His popularity began to rise. In 1998, another presidential election took place in which Hugo Chávez garnered 56% of the votes. He remained in the presidential seat for 4 terms. He might have stayed longer if he hadn't passed away. Moreover, every time he won the elections fairly, his popularity remained consistently high. However, with each new presidential term, the population's quality of life declined, economic indicators worsened, food shortages increased, corruption and crime rates escalated. Why did Venezuelans keep trusting President Chávez? The answer is both simple and complex. Chávez's primary electoral base was always the poorest segments of the population, which constituted the majority in Venezuela. For many years, Chávez stuck to populist rhetoric, promising social benefits and guarantees for the most vulnerable, thus ensuring his continuous popularity. Once in office, Chávez launched the Plan Bolivar 2,000 Inches Social Assistance Program, allocating an estimated $21 to $113 million. The program aimed at road and hospital repairs, free medical treatment, vaccination, and the sale of food at low prices. In the same year, he initiated a radio show called Hello, President, which later moved to television. In this program, the president interacted with the population live, gave instructions to ministers, and conducted teleconferences with regions. In reality, it was a many-hour-long show starring one actor, designed to boost his ratings. In one episode, he even had his supporters sing songs, dance salsa, and held a contest for who could applaud him the loudest. Although Chávez's favorite theme was criticizing the United States and capitalists, he frequently resorted to insulting American politicians, including former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. He repeatedly referred to her as a little girl. In February 2006, Ms. Rice called Venezuela a threat to regional democracy and an assistant to Iran. In response, during one of his Sunday broadcasts, Chávez threatened, "Remember, girl, I'm like a thorn bush. What blooms on the plain, I carry my scent to. I reach those who pass by and prick whoever shakes me. Don't joke with me, Condoleezza. Don't joke with me, girl." And then blew Miss Rice a kiss. President Bush Jr., Chávez referred to as the devil. In 2006, before starting his speech at the UN podium, he crossed himself and said, "The smell of sulfur is still in the air here. Yesterday, the devil was here." Chávez's political program, the so-called Bolivarian socialism, involved nationalization of enterprises, price and currency controls, and other economic measures that gradually pushed the country into debt dependence. Venezuela's main source of income is oil sales. In the early 2000s, when oil prices rose, Chávez began implementing social programs, allowing him to strengthen his own power. Thousands of free facilities for the poor were built, subsidies for food purchase and housing improvement were introduced. Thanks to high oil prices, the GDP in 2002 was around $132 billion, and the average per capita income was the highest in Latin America. However, oil prices soon started to decline. The dollar exchange rate to the national currency rapidly rose, and inflation began to soar, reaching 100% per month. To stabilize the situation, Chávez introduced price controls on basic food items. Due to price controls, entrepreneurs couldn't import food, leading to product shortages. Products like oil, meat, cheese, sugar, and powdered milk disappeared from store shelves. Meanwhile, a black market emerged where you could buy anything, but at significantly higher prices than usual. Chávez blamed speculators and hoarders. To address the shortage, the government nationalized food industry enterprises. Then Chávez opened a network of state-run supermarkets called Mercal. It included 16,000 stores across the country selling food at low prices. Nevertheless, there were still food shortages, and people had to endure long lines. Another measure to stabilize prices was the introduction of quotas for purchasing foreign currency by the population. Venezuelans were limited to buying $5,600 for travel abroad and $4,000 for online purchases per year. Crime rates in Venezuela were high even before Chávez's rule. However, during his first 4 years in office, the murder rate increased dramatically. This was partly due to political tensions in the country. By 2011, kidnapping rates had increased 20-fold compared to 1999. This was attributed to criminal justice reform that led to the amnesty of thousands of prisoners, as well as criminal activity by Colombian groups. By 2007, the government stopped reporting crime statistics. According to various estimates, the murder rate per capita increased 3 or even 4 times. Most of the murders occurred in densely populated slums. In 2010, Caracas had the highest murder rate in the world. Hugo Chávez often repeated that he had no wealth. Being rich was bad, inhumane. With these words, I accuse you, wealthy Venezuelans. He called for modesty and thrift. Many spend half an hour in the shower singing there, yet to get clean, I found 3 minutes perfectly sufficient. At least it's enough for me. Simply letting water run from the faucet is criminal. So, no songs. You soap up, rinse, and that's it. In general, the president always emphasized that he, like his people, was a true socialist. However, this wasn't entirely true. For example, it's known that the president often traveled, staying in luxurious hotels. At the start, Chávez flew on a Boeing 737. The plane was worn out and the seats were uncomfortable. In 2002, the president bought a new plane. He chose the Airbus 319. The corporate jet was equipped with state-of-the-art technology. It had a bedroom, a bathroom with a spacious shower, and a meeting room. The latest communication, navigation, and security equipment rivaled that of the American leader's Air Force One. He often took his children and grandchildren with him abroad. Chávez lived in the Miraflores Palace. This luxurious building with spacious halls was furnished with expensive furniture. It became the official residence of Venezuelan presidents. In 1900, Chávez didn't like to talk about his personal life. I don't really have a personal life. It doesn't belong to me. I can't share it with anyone. However, information about his new romances kept leaking into Western media. Hugo's first wife was Nancy Colmenares, who came from a working-class family. They had 2 daughters and a son, but their family life didn't work out. It was difficult for her to compete with another of Chávez's lovers, the history teacher Irma Marxman. She helped Hugo develop the Bolivarian ideology. Despite all precautions, this romance became widely known. Marxman and Chávez soon parted ways, and after their breakup, she gave a significant interview to journalist Agustín Blanco. He released a book with her revelations titled, Chávez Used Me. Hugo's second wife was Marisabel Rodriguez. The couple married in 1997. 5 years later, the lovers separated and officially divorced 2 years after that. They cited differences in character as the reason for the split. Later, the former First Lady would recount that she felt uncomfortable in the Miraflores Palace. The atmosphere there was foreign and had a strange energy. She described it as insincere and forced to journalists. However, this didn't prevent Marisabel from enjoying various luxuries. She would travel to New York for shopping with her friends and attend prestigious social events. Those around Chávez said that he was displeased with this. He urged his wife to be modest. In response, she fueled rumors about her husband's infidelity. In 2002, the headstrong wife left the palace and returned to her hometown. After the divorce from Marisabel, Chávez didn't remarry. My home, my family is Venezuela, he said. However, this was hard to believe. The head of the presidential security, Luis Spinendo, published a book detailing his boss's escapades. According to him, the politician was constantly surrounded by mistresses, even when officially married. In the summer of 2011, it was announced that the Venezuelan leader had been diagnosed with malignant tumor. Less than 2 years later, he passed away. But Chávez wouldn't be Chávez if he had simply died like an ordinary person. The first signs of illness appeared in early May 2011. His left knee, injured in his youth during a failed parachute landing, suddenly became inflamed. Chávez had to observe bed rest for over 2 weeks and even use crutches. A couple of months later, he underwent surgery, which revealed the tumor. On June 30th, the president declared that he had undergone surgery and was now completely healthy. However, this was not true, and ongoing treatment was required. Chávez had to take a leave of absence, as stipulated in the Constitution. To focus on his treatment, he ordered a new daily routine in August, excluding nighttime work, going on a diet, drinking only 2-3 cups of coffee a day instead of the usual 30, 40, consuming more fish, fruits, and vegetables, and drinking herbal teas. In an interview with local television, Chávez denied suspicions of serious illness and claimed to be in a process of renewal and spiritual rejuvenation. In reality, for many months, Chávez battled cancer through chemotherapy. However, the disease progressed. Details of his treatment and health condition were kept highly secret. On March 5, 2013, Venezuelan authorities announced that the president's condition had worsened due to chemotherapy, causing respiratory problems. In the evening of the same day, an official announcement of the commander's death was made. The morning events were grand. Chávez's body was supposed to be embalmed, but it turned out that the opportunity was missed, and this idea was abandoned. In July 2018, the former Attorney General of Venezuela, Luisa Ortega Diaz, unexpectedly stated that Chávez did not die in March 2013, but rather 4 months earlier, in December 2012. This announcement gave rise to a multitude of rumors about the causes of Chávez's death. One of them was the cancer conspiracy. Supporters of this theory claimed that the Americans were to blame, alleging that U.S. agencies spread a cancerous infection, leading to the death of all red political leaders. Another popular version was poisoning or deliberate radioactive exposure. On March 13th, President Maduro announced the commencement of an official investigation into the death of Hugo Chávez. We will uncover the truth. Intuition tells us that our commander Chávez was poisoned by dark forces that wanted to divert him from the right path. This video was prepared by the Hustler channel. Subscribe to the channel, rate the video, and see you in the next one.